Last week I finished the 3-part series talking about every character's best move, which is probably honestly my favorite video on my channel so far, and you can check that out at the top right of the screen right there. And I thought to myself, you know what, since I enjoyed making that so much, why not make a video on the worst moves for every single character? Now I will be honest here, this is going to be even more subjective and even more opinion based than the best moves list. I feel like oftentimes on the best moves you can just see what moves people are using the most and kind of go on from there, while on the worst moves list it is a lot more based off my own opinion and what moves I personally believe could be a lot better, or moves that just don't really add way too much to the current character. With that in mind, I'd really appreciate if you'd share your own comments down below what moves you personally believe are the worst on your character, so we can kind of figure out, you know, if I was wrong on some certain moves, what moves are the ones that should replace those. With that all in mind though guys, thank you for watching and let's get going. Mario is a really hard character to start off with once again, because while he doesn't have any of the best moves in the game, he also doesn't really have any of the worst moves in the game. He's overall a pretty dang good character in almost every aspect. Now I will mention right here that his forward throw, like many other characters, is not that great, and I'm going to kind of be ignoring a lot of the throws that aren't that great, because otherwise I could just make a whole video about forward throws and up throws that do nothing, so please do keep that in mind, you know, they still get safe positioning. But anyways, with Mario, the one move that I feel like really is disappointing on this character, and in my opinion, feels like it should be better, is going to be his up tilt. And this is what I'm going to say is his worst move. Mainly because when you look at it in Smash 4 compared to Ultimate, it is so much worse. A lot of the times you can use one up tilt and then maybe grab your opponent if they try to air dodge it, and then if they don't, go into maybe one up air and continue from there. While in Smash 4, you could go down throw, up tilt, up tilt, up tilt, up air, continue the combos off wherever you wanted to. Even if you landed just like a falling up air, you could land it into a few up tilts and continue to combo from there. Overall, his up tilt just lost so much versatility. It just doesn't really work nearly as well as it used to, and while Mario doesn't really need it in Ultimate, it's still kind of disappointing. Donkey Kong's up B on the ground is actually a pretty decent move, very easy to punish, but if you happen to hit your opponent, it'll potentially kill them, deal a little damage, it's alright. As a recovery though, this special is just not good at all. It sends you decently horizontally, but I mean, if you get hit by a downer or anything sending you down at all, you're going to instantly die. It could just be a lot better in that aspect, and I think it holds Donkey Kong down a lot, especially when your opponent just keeps hitting you off stage, keeps hitting you back, or potentially dunks you and kills you super early. Speaking of lackluster, we got Link's forward tilt, which in my opinion doesn't really need to be in his kit. He already has his dash attack, which is a similar thing, but is a bit more of a burst option. He already has his up smash, which can actually cover some of the same range, and he already has his down tilt, which can also poke like his forward tilt could possibly do. I feel like it's one of those moves that's just kind of an extra move on the character, and while it works alright for Link, if he had something like a hero forward tilt, I think it would be a lot better. Samus is a character with a lot of flawed moves, and moves that just don't really feel like they actually work on her, but I feel like the number one move for that is going to be her up air. Now the reason for this is that when you compare her up air to all of the other drill up airs, it's just way worse. Sheik's up air can lead into extended combos, Joker's up air can actually lead into like 60% combos, and Greninja's up air can lead into tech chase setups or different combos by himself as well. And then with Samus, well, you got an up air that can sometimes string your opponent along and can sometimes juggle, and that's kind of it. Overall, it's just kind of disappointing compared to the other ones. Yoshi's egg roll is the obvious choice for him. There's actually like zero use for this move. It does literally nothing. I wish that you could use it in the air and then cancel out of it into, you know, a jump to have that as a potential thing to help you recover. You know, I wouldn't potentially want it to combo in the future because that could be a little bit too much for this character. But yeah, giving it some use would be nice. As it is right now, you just use it as a miss input and it really does nothing. Holy crap. Okay, so since Kirby is one of the worst characters, he has a lot of the worst moves in the game. You could mention a ton of his tilts that lose to way too much stuff. You could mention a ton of his aerials which just lose to way too much stuff. But for myself, I'm going to be mentioning his side B, the hammer. This move takes so long to pull out, takes so long to use, can't be comboed into at all, and I've never seen it actually get a kill in any game other than like a casual match. His down B, while still not great, at least has some potential, at least can possibly shield break and jank out your opponent. The side B though, I really don't see anything coming out of this. In the previous game, Fox's forward air started off being a really bad move because we didn't know what it could do, but then later on we figured out that you could actually forward air somebody off stage, fast fall, and then jump on your opponent's head, full stool them, and kill them at like 0%. It was kind of ridiculous off of ledge traps. In Ultimate though, this doesn't work anymore, and essentially the only use for forward air is to just potentially maybe kill your opponent off the top right of the screen if you're very lucky at like 150%. Other than that, it really doesn't do way too much. You're pretty much going to be using all your other aerials more than this, and yeah, it's super disappointing. I was trying to think about Pikachu's worst moves, and honestly, I couldn't really think of one. Legitimately, all of his moves are above average, which is just kind of dumb. But if I'm talking about, I guess, his personal worst moves, they'd probably go to forward tilt and jab. Now, both these moves are actually still good moves in their own right, but compared to everything else, they are a little bit lackluster. A forward tilt can lead to some combo startups, but later on, it really doesn't do anything. And when you compare it to Pichu's forward tilt, which used to lead to combos and killed, it's just kind of a lot better than Pikachu's. And as well, his jab, while being alright and while leading to some weird stuff on ledges, still could maybe be a little bit better if it was a different jab. Not bad moves, but not great ones. The worst move for Luigi is going to be his recovery, which I guess kind of enacts 3 different moves. His up B doesn't really have any aerial drift, and while it can kill, yeah, it doesn't really recover that well. Side B, while if you get a misfire, can recover, only does that like 1 out of 7 times, not the best. And down B, while it is frame 1 invincible and great for combos and great for kills, it still isn't a great recovery anymore because you can't mash it and go up. Overall, the moves by themselves are good, but when you combine them together to make a recovery move, I guess kind of, yeah, it's definitely one of his biggest weaknesses, and it kind of makes him not that great of a character. It's pretty funny because Lucas's PK Freeze is one of his best moves in my own opinion, but then you get to Ness and his PK Flash just sucks. This move has almost no use. It takes so long to come out, its hitbox doesn't really last for nearly as long as it possibly should, and even if you hit it, it actually doesn't kill as early as you think a move that takes like 2 seconds to charge would take. Yeah, his up B is a bad recovery, but compared to this move, it is way better. So Falcon Punch, while being an awesome move, is probably honestly his worst move because it takes forever to come out, is super obvious, and easy to beat. So I wanted to mention that right there. But as far as a move that you're actually going to be using quite often, or you would be using quite often, that's still quite bad, I'm going to say it's going to be his down tilt. Now, mainly you don't want to use this because it's just kind of slow, it doesn't really lead into anything, and his forward tilt is essentially just a safer version of his down tilt. Overall, both those moves are kind of disappointing, and while Falcon Punch is super cool, yeah, it's not that usable. Like Yoshi's egg roll, Jigglypuff's rollout just sucks in every sense of the word. This thing, unlike the egg roll, takes an amount of time to charge, and then once you used it fully charged, it can easily be shielded, it can easily be jumped over, it has a ton of end lag, you can kill yourself with it if you use it off stage at all, so you can't even use it as a recovery or jump out of it at all, and it doesn't really kill for a long time. Overall, just why? Why is this move so bad? Why? All of Peach's aerials are amazing. All of her tilts can either kill or start up combos, which end up being pretty good. Her smash attacks, while not the best, can at least deal decent damage. Up smash can potentially kill, forward smash can also potentially kill, and her down B is pretty good for a projectile. Side B is pretty safe. Overall, looks pretty good for Peach. Until you look at her neutral B, that counter. Now, this is just so weird of a move. Normally it's their down B for a counter, but I mean, it's a counter that doesn't really ever kill. It's a counter that doesn't really do way too much damage, that a lot of the times will just miss your opponent. And overall, it's just a really weird move on Peach and doesn't really work out that well, as most counters don't. Bowser is actually kind of cool because in the previous games, like 3/4 of his moves were just awful in like every previous game. But in Ultimate, most of his moves are actually really dang good. And while looking at his moves, I couldn't really think of the worst ones other than like maybe down air and maybe down tilt because they're both pretty unsafe and kind of bait you into using them. But then I remembered Bowser has his up B. Now, as a move on the ground that you can use against your opponent that's hitting your shield, it's great. But when you have to use this as a recovery, holy crap, it holds back Bowser so much. You get hit in disadvantage again and again and again. If your opponent has a sword, you are going to die. And while you can potentially, you know, break through your opponent if they are a brawler type character, against people with longer range attacks, yeah, it does hold them back a ton. I feel like with Ice Climbers, it's really hard to say what their worst move is because there's so many setups that lead into like all of their tilts, that can lead into like all of their smashes, even all of their aerials. So moves that potentially wouldn't be that easy to actually hit, that being stuff like up smash and down smash, still end up being pretty dang good. Now, if there's one move that I wish would be fixed a little bit better, it's going to be the Ice Climbers Up B. Now, the reason why I think this move is probably one of their worst ones is because while it is a decent range recovery, oftentimes you can either hit one Ice Climber out of it and then kill the other one. The Ice Climbers just don't both grab onto each other and then, you know, you don't go flying up and then you die, or it just gets janked out one way or the other. It's just one of those recoveries that's just kind of prone to jank, and while when it works, you know, it's pretty good, it breaks a lot. I feel like overall JoeK is another character who just has a ton of great moves, but the problem about all of her moves is that they just don't deal enough damage. So you can kind of put like all of her moves in her best moves and her worst moves just because how the character's design kind of screws her up a little bit in this game. But for myself, I feel like her singularly worst move would probably be her forward smash. Now, the reason for this is because it's a really unsafe move that doesn't come out extremely fast, that you can't really combo into way too well, and it doesn't really kill that great. Now, it kills all right, but just, yeah, it doesn't really do anything that you want a smash attack to do greatly. It's a usable move, but in most games, you won't really see a JoeK using forward smash all that much. It's funny because Zelda in a lot of ways is like JoeK, where her best moves could also be considered some of her worst moves. Her forward air, back air, and up air are all really good when you're in advantage, when you hit them, can kill, can do all that, but aren't really that safe and can't really actually be used to space that well. Yeah, it kind of sucks. But the thing that is just, no matter what, bad for Zelda is going to be her neutral air. Now, this move just doesn't work like 3/4 of the time. And it makes me so mad because it could be such a good move. It could combo so well. It could be amazing. I guess another move that's kind of on the same level is going to be her down tilt. This move was great in the last game, but they nerfed it so that it doesn't combo nearly as well anymore. And like half the time it doesn't combo at all. I don't know why they did that to these moves. They should just work, and if they did, I think Zelda would be a lot more consistent. Dr. Mario's recovery is holding him back so much, and it makes me so sad because I love playing this character, but whenever you play him, you get at least 1 or 2 stocks where your opponent just hits you with one move, makes you fly off the stage, and then you have to down B back towards the stage, you get swatted away, and then you have to recover with your up B, and that's not going to go anywhere. You're just going to straight up die, and it sucks so bad because there's no reason this has to be so bad. There's no reason his punch has to not really go that far, but it just doesn't. Now, it's an alright move as far as a punish tool, and is really good at a shield, but as far as a recovery go, you know, this is super disappointing. I feel like Picchu is like Pikachu, where he actually doesn't have any bad moves, and his worst move is still a great move. So please do keep that in mind before you hear me talking about this character. Now, I do want to mention right here, probably the worst move or thing about him is going to be the fact that he does damage himself, and the fact that that got changed so much in the recent patch does make him quite a bit worse. But if I had to talk about one singular move, I'm going to say his up smash is potentially his worst move, mainly because it's okay, but it doesn't really get led into. It can kill a decent percent, and it can potentially lead into his down B at times, but a lot of times there are more consistent combos into your Thunder. A lot of the times there are just better ways to kill, mainly down smash and forward smash, and even back air, and it just feels like the least consistent one of his kill moves. And when you compare that to Pikachu, you can just go Nair up smash. You know, it's not bad, but it is kind of disappointing comparatively. Falco kind of has 2 big holes in his game plan, and I feel like these are kind of what create his worst moves. Now, first off, one hole is that he doesn't really have that solid of a neutral. He doesn't really have moves he can throw all the time, and while a lot of his moves are great when he's actually started out a combo, when you're in advantage, they don't really work otherwise. Now, these moves could go from forward air to neutral air to potentially stuff like down air, and they're okay moves in their own right, but trying to use them in neutral, especially like neutral air, just doesn't really do way too much. So you could argue those are some of his worst moves in certain situations. Now, the one worst move that if you gave to another character would just be bad no matter what would be his up B. This move can combo at times, can do some weird parry into up B shenanigans that we see GimR say, but other than that, it's just a recovery that doesn't go really far at all. It doesn't really do way too much damage. It doesn't potentially kill like wolves, and it's essentially just a worse version of Wolf's recovery plus a worse version of Fox recovery put together. It's kind of disappointing. As with Peach's counter, I'd say for pretty much every sword fighter in the future that their worst move would be their counter because they're way too specific to use. They rely on your opponent to actually, you know, utilize these, or just rely on your opponent playing a certain character that you can just screw with their recovery. So yeah, I normally say that is one of their worst moves, but I'm not going to mention from here on out, so please keep that in mind. Anyways, to Marth and Mussina, I mean, these are great characters. Almost all their aerials, pretty much all their aerials are great. All of their tilts are good for spacing, are pretty safe, just kind of do their job. And most of smashes and specials are also really good. Now, the worst move of these great moves, though, for me, is going to be their down smash. Still a decent move, because it can still catch people on ledge, and it can still catch people rolling. But in most cases, I feel like you can do a similar thing with forward smash, but it's a bit faster of a move. It kills a ton earlier, and the reward is a lot better. As well, I should mention right here that if you miss your down smash on people, or they shield it, well, you're going to get punished a ton harder than if you miss a forward smash because it has the whole second part of the animation hitting behind you. Overall, not a horrible move, but could be a lot better. Young Link's a lot like the Chews, where he has pretty much good moves all across the board, so it was really hard to pick for him. Now, I feel like if there's one thing that would make him a lot better, though, it'd be a good potential kill move, and this would probably come from either his up smash or his down smash. Now, while these moves aren't horrible right now, they could be so much better. If his up smash was like a Fox up smash, or even just a little bit stronger, a little bit quicker, or even just a Toon Link up smash, that would give him so much kill power. He'd have potential combos that lead into that, and while his current one is fine, I feel like just having a better up smash would just carry this character to just way higher heights than he already is. He's already a great character with great moves by now, but that would just help him even more. Okay, so Ganon has just a lot of great moves in this game finally, but yeah, he still does have a ton of horrible moves. Starting off, we got ourselves Warlock Punch, which is a lot like Falcon Punch, but a little bit stronger, and it actually gets super armor. So in fact, there are slightly more situations where it can be useful. Shield breaks is slightly better, and when your opponent's just going, you know, balls to the walls, it can be slightly better as well. Now, other than that, of course, we have the fact that his up tilt takes like 1.5 seconds to go off, can't shield break, but yeah, that's pretty much it. That move also just completely horrendous. I really wish it was changed to something else. But the final move we got here that I'm going to put as his worst move, that could also 100% apply to Falcon, is going to be his up B. Now, the reason for this is because it doesn't really go far at all. If you get hit at all off stage, you're going to die. And even if you hit your opponent, well, they can actually take off the wall, jump at you, rock crock you, and kill you. That's fatality. This sucks so bad. Why does this still happen to these characters? I have no idea. It's so stupid that hitting your recovery is a bad thing. But yeah, definitely the worst part about the character. But anyways, that is my own personal opinion and experience about the worst moves in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for at least the first 2 rows. Now, I would really like to hear your guys' own opinions about your own potential worst moves for the characters that I've talked about today. Of course, talking about the worst moves is really hard because people forget about the worst moves. They never use them. And yeah, unless you're a person that actually mains that character, sometimes it can be kind of hard to say, actually, this move is the worst. So I'd really like to hear you guys' own opinions down in the comment section though. That would be really awesome. Press subscribe if you want to see more videos in this series, as there is going to be a part 2 and a part 3, and I'd really appreciate if you would hit that button. Like to see more videos like this, and at the top of the screen right now, you can click on that and see the video on the best moves for every character. With that all said, guys, thank you all for watching, and have a smashing day.